Hi, everyone. This is Adam, and I'm making a live video. I've never done this before. I'm actually forcing myself to do it right now. And some of you know me for making content about metaphysics or about songwriting. And yeah, I'm forcing myself to make this video because I still struggle with feelings of rejection. And every now and then it just piles up, and I need to figure it out some more, because lots of times when I'm expressing myself through my music or my content or making videos, I'm pushing myself to do it, getting myself into that space, and that's great, but I want that to happen more naturally. So I'm just doing this off the cuff, and yeah, we'll see what comes out. So for me, I've had a fear of rejection since I was a little kid, and I stayed quiet pretty much all the time. And then now that I'm an adult and I'm making content and have friends and relationships, these feelings still creep up, even though I'm not actually being rejected. And what I realize is that what I'm actually afraid of are these reflections, reflections of rejection, because everything I experience that's outside of myself is a reflection, and I acknowledge that. And so I thought, so how could I experience these reflections of rejection? If I'm only afraid of a reflection, then I must be doing it myself. So I look back and I thought, what is rejecting the self? And that's basically, you reject yourself when you're not expressing yourself in the ways you need to, whether it's in a small way, like making content you feel you want to make, or speaking up in front of other people or an audience. So this is how I've been feeling, if that makes sense. So that's rejecting the self by not expressing, by taking those actions, by not being who you are. And what I realized is you can do this in two ways, or at least I've been doing it in two ways. And as I was growing up, that would be just to keep quiet, because when you're quiet, you don't express yourself. But at the same time, that action of not expressing is a rejection. And in this way, you can experience reflections of rejection. And the second way is being someone who you're not, putting on a mask or overcompensating. So one issue I had here in Munich in the subway, there are always people there, and sometimes I feel they're looking at me, or if I'm having a conversation, I feel like they might be listening. And I thought, so what if they look or if they stare? Maybe that's positive attention. Because I remember thinking when I was a kid, the bad kids, they would act out to get attention, but I guess that's negative attention. And then I didn't realize that there's a difference. But the biggest point for me is I can't experience any of this rejection, any of the reflections of rejection, if I don't already reject myself first by those actions of not speaking up, of not expressing, of not creating content, of not being my complete self, even rejecting partially. Because the times that I've stood up in front of audiences, given performances or talks, was actually the times that I was most open and felt the most safe. So I just wanted to, through this video, remind myself and share it with anyone who who's had similar experiences. And because this is a journey, it's not like, you can fix things like that, but it's a process. And I just want to remind myself that rejection starts with rejecting the self, and everything else that happens is secondary and comes from that, as well as those ways you can actually reject the self, but not being aware that you're doing it. So I'm going to keep these thoughts in mind as, I go day to day throughout my life. I think 5 minutes is a good time to cut this off. If you appreciated this video, please give me a like. No, actually, no. You don't have to. You can do it whenever you want.